Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the December 18th, our only meeting in December and our last meeting for the 2023 campaign here that we call the Dairy Conservation Commission. So thank you for joining from home. Before we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll ask that all cell phones be silenced prior to standing for the pledge. Once done, you can go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of the Republic, which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In case of emergency this evening, please do not use the elevators. We have an emergency exit up here to the front. We have stairs in the back. If you need help, a commissioner can help you. We can start this evening with introductions. To my right, please make sure your microphone is green prior to starting.
Will Lowenthal, good evening.
Bob Moonster, good evening.
Aaron Spencer, good evening.
Rick Bazaga.
Bob Spurl.
Grace Reisdorf. And Jeannie Cunningham.
And I'm the chair, James Degnan. Jeannie, will you sit for Eileen, who is not here this evening?
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you very much. First order of business, I did pass out some minutes from the 11/6/2023 meeting. They were a 2-pager, 4 sets passed out. Any commentary on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Rick motions to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Bob Spurl seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
B.
Ms. Reisdorf. Okay. Moving into correspondence, we received a edition of the Granite State Tree Farmer, which has a Forest Carbon 101 commentary, and I'll talk about this in a minute because I did a monitoring report where this got brought up, and they're actually looking for standing forests not to be cut in some instances, and there may be some funding and conversation surrounding that, so it's an interesting topic. We'll have to take that up as a commission. We also received a copy of Celt Everlasting, which is the Celt newsletter. Short one, not a lot of content in there this week, but thank you for that. 2 notices from DES. First notice is for 1006 Colette's Grove, Tax Map 19, Lot 67. It's a shoreland permit application that has been approved to impact 6,900 square feet of protected shoreland in order to construct a new home, septic, and well. Next notice is also from DES. This is a alleged violation for 17 Taylor Brook Lane, Tax Map 18, Lot 30. The original wetland permit was approved on July 24th, 2023 to impact 1,406 square feet. The alleged violation is a potential impact of more than that. That is being investigated. Again, it's an alleged violation, so DES does their due diligence on those. Okay, and I did have no other written correspondence, so with that, we'll move into our site plan follow-up. On the agenda this evening, it says Phase 2. I want to apologize. That was a typo. It was actually Phase 3 and 4 for the Denali Estates subdivision being presented by Tim Peliquin of Promised Land Survey on behalf of JAL LLC.
Yep. Good evening.
Good evening,
Tim.
Tim.
Hey, everyone. Yep, for the record, Tim Peliquin, Promised Land Survey. I didn't present last time before you. Neil, my colleague, did. But I was part of the site walk with you all a couple weeks ago. A beautiful evening, a sunset evening, as you may have remembered, as we're at top of the hill there. It's a nice property. There's no wetland impacts as part of Phase 3 or Phase 4 that we're showing. We will have some detention ponds and other things, and we looked at those areas. You all had asked that we had the road flagged, those detention pond areas flagged, and be able to understand where the approximate house locations would be so you could get a viewing of that. We did that. We walked it, and I think from my sense, the commission was satisfied with those findings and that look. So with that, I don't need to ramble too much because I know you want to be out of here in 31 minutes. So I heard that earlier. The plans are available to sign downstairs should the commission vote for that. We'd appreciate that. We still have one small outstanding issue with Public Works, very small, and that's being worked through. And the other issue is with fire department, just for street numbers. The fire department has been busy, so he hasn't quite gotten around to giving us street numbers. So it's 2 small outstanding items, as well as you guys.
Neither of those will impact conservation's decision or our purview. I will say the site walk was attended by myself, Will, Bob, developer, and yourself. I have no questions from the site walk. Just for the public's knowledge, we walked to 2 different important locations on the plan, one of which was the drainage easement up at the top of the new circle, where the development will somewhat abut another road that comes up, so we were able to walk through that whole area. We then traversed down where the new roadway is going to connect to Wildwood, saw some of the area where the AOT permit is going to be enacted to fill and get the road over to Wildwood. Any comments from either of you folks on the site walk?
None.
No?
Okay. Any other comments from those that received the plan link or the engineering plans to review? Going once, going twice, seeing none. Okay. So to remind the public, there was 2 phases that were presented separately. The first phase was the rework of the circle going up to the new one. That is phase 3. That is going to be its own vote. So, yes, Rick?
So you want a motion for phase 2 and then phase 3?
No, it'd be phase 3 and then phase 4. That was a typo.
3, okay.
Yep. Rick?
So I'd make a motion to have the chair sign the plan for phase 3, site plan review for Denali Estates.
Rick motions. We have a second.
I'll second.
Bob Boonstra seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I think I need to abstain.
1 abstention. Ms. Reisdorf, thank you. Okay, the phase 4, I'll entertain a motion to approve phase 4, which is the connecting road from Daniel Road to Wildwood.
I'll make a motion.
Particularly, it's called Forest Street, just so you know.
Called 4th Street officially.
Yeah, because the intersection is with Wildwood.
For what? For was it for?
Wood isn't part of this, but
For what?
Forest Street,
Oh, Forest Street?
phase 4.
But it's still phase 4 from our perspective,
it is
right?
phase 4. I just wanted the correction for it, because Wildwoods is not a road within this network. It's
Okay.
just an intersection nearby.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
All right, so I'll make a motion for the chair to sign the site plan review for phase 4 Denali Estates.
Rick motions. We have a second.
I'll second.
Bob Boonstra seconds again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 1 abstention. Okay, Tim, I will go ahead, excuse me, after this meeting and address the copies downstairs.
Awesome.
Anything else for you this evening?
Nope, we thank you so much for your time, as always, and appreciate what you guys do, for sure.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Okay, so moving right along into other business, we are at the, hold on one second. Oh, yeah, I'll have you touch on that in a second. Okay, so we've had a couple of things in other business to address. So it is that time of year where we have a lot of monitoring reports that are due if they have not been done. So just to let the commission know, we've done our report for LCHIP, which is on the peach orchard on the backside of the Cornelian Woods. We've done that one. We had a one for LSIP that was due for the Martin property that is off Cemetery Road and Lane Road. Kind of enter between there. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about that one in a moment. I believe we have one more pertinent report due for, I got to check which one it's for. I got an invite today to do it online and some box file sharing service from whoever holds the easement, and I will get back to everybody on that. But I want to take 1 second to talk a little bit about the Martin property. For years, the Martin property was monitored mostly by Margaret Ives and I believe by Paul. We used to have a long list, and you know we would all monitor certain ones. And the Martin property was mostly Hannah Martin. Yep, was mostly monitored by Margie. We had a little bit of a lapse in the time we kind of worked with the landowner, and then were able to get on boots on the ground. So I would like to say that I had a great conversation with Hannah Martin about that property. Was able to walk it on foot in and around, take some nice photographs. I'd like to share those with you. I'll send them out in email because they're in a PowerPoint slide so people can see them, and they're pretty large. But it goes to show that folks who are conservation-minded, like Hannah Martin is and her family has been, are really important to conservation efforts, not only in our town, but also to the state. You know, I know my wife and kids have probably driven by the field off Lane Road, and we travel Cemetery Road all the time to get into East Derry, and you don't realize when you're going 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour, what might be happening beyond the tree line. But on the day that I went and visited Hannah, upon pulling up the driveway and looking out into the woodlot, there was a family of 5 deer sitting, almost wondering who is coming up this driveway that, you know, no one ever comes up, and kind of poking their head around and seeing what's going on. Had a great time talking with Hannah for about an hour on some of the history and some of the things that need to be addressed on the property in the near future and also in the long-term future. And as I walked into the woodlot where the deer were, they were about maybe 30 feet the other way, still waiting, almost as if to say, are you coming in here or not? And then they bounded over the rock wall heading down towards Cemetery Road. Property was in pristine condition, not a stick of trash on site. Everything was clean, very limited. Some invasives up on the field side, but not a lot. If you're thinking about property you own in Derry, I would love to give you information on how things are done and work with you like we've done with Hannah Martin, and Hannah's worked with us and done a phenomenal service to the town of Derry by protecting this. So if you're thinking or you have some property available and you'd like to learn a little bit more about this, reach out to the commission. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to meet with you. But if you haven't, if next time you're going down Lane Road and you're turning around the corner over there, look into the field to the right. It's a beautiful piece of property, especially at sunrise, and actually sunset was when I was there. And it's just a gorgeous little gem in Derry. So I want to thank the Martin family for working with us many years ago to get it protected. And we've now got some new action plans that we need to talk about for this property, but very happy to say it's going to continue to be protected in the town. So thank you to Hannah Martin, who has long been a great member and person in the town of Derry overall. So thank you to her stewardship. So with that, any other business? Just really enjoyed myself walking that property 2 weeks ago. I just had to share it. I'm sorry.
What they're there for.
Yeah. You know, we did have a request come in for some communication with the commission regarding a tree. Do you want to discuss some of that?
I'll take it. I'll share a couple of, I've been in the woods quite a bit. During hunting season, I'm in the woods quite a bit, and I was able to spend some time over at Bob's, on Bob's property up behind Will's house up at Cornelius and the Peach Orchard over the past few weeks. And I didn't do, you know, actual surveys of the property, but the properties that I did walk all looked in great shape, especially the one that you up behind across from your house, Bob. I had a constituent in my neighborhood reach out to me regarding a tree. She was having some tree work done at her house, and there was a tree that was inside the 150-foot buffer for Beaver Lake. And so she called into the state, and she asked a very generic question, got a very generic answer, and then she called me distraught and said, hey, you know, that giant maple tree that's overhanging my house, the state won't let me take it down, because it was 140 feet and across the street from the lake. So there's provisions in that ordinance specifically to deal with trees like that that are inside the watershed. So I contacted Bob Mackey and said, you know, I kind of framed the situation for Bob. Bob actually knew about the tree. It was probably, if it wasn't 200 years old, it was somewhere between 150 and 200-year-old sugar maple that was, you know, rotted to the core, big holes in it and stuff like that, but it was leaning towards her home. So I asked Bob, you know, what would be the proper protocol to go ahead doing it, and Bob said that that a couple of commissioners should look at the tree and make a judgment call on it. So I reached out to Jim. Jim came over, we looked at the tree together, and we just wrote a letter to the homeowner to tell her that, we looked at it, and that it pretty clearly fell within the criteria to remove a tree within the 150-foot no-cut zone of Beaver Lake. So she had, fortunately, she had it taken down before the windstorm that we had last night, because I don't think it would have done very well in that windstorm. So it was good. That was, we kind of followed the protocol, and it worked to our advantage.
Yeah, I would just add some commentary that, when it comes to trees, make sure you're hiring a reputable, tree company that knows what they're looking at, that's going to follow safety rules, not only for themselves, but for your home. And I applaud the homeowner, one, for reaching out and asking the question, two, for the tree company also being part of that conversation and wanting to work and understand what was best for the situation. The tree had probably been trimmed multiple times, it looked like, by the power company, which somewhat increased a little bit of the rot issue going on with the tree. We see that off and on certain parts of town where tree trimming is necessary. But again, thanks to all parties for kind of coming together right around the Thanksgiving timeframe and to make the best decision. And again, with the wind we've had, I think it was a better decision to say that it should be taken down within that buffered zone. So thanks to all involved. Eileen is not here tonight, but in terms of other business, she did want me to forward out some notes about some proposed wetland rules update. And one of the concerning ones is regarding prime wetlands. And I'll read it actually here as well, I'll send it out. But essentially it says, regarding prime wetlands, the change allows for updating maps and boundaries for prime wetlands. This process has been confusing for towns in the past, so this will be a good change. But the other change coming to prime wetland rules is that commissions will be notified, or commissions are notified, but conservation comments are no longer required for a forestry waiver. Meaning, if for some instance we have a situation abutting a prime in which there needs to be some tree work or harvesting, we've kind of lost somewhat of the ability to add some commentary under these new proposed rules. There may be some chance to provide some feedback. It's coming up in 2 days, so I'll work with Eileen to make sure we draft some type of commentary that we would prefer to still have the ability to comment and provide some feedback on these. One of the reasons why I say that we should be still allowed to provide feedback, we've seen many plans, even in non-prime wetland situations, in which the plan is to cut directly up against, and in certain situations, it's a bad idea for the land, right, to be able to have that level of runoff come off and not be able to be stopped by some mature trees and plantings and things like that. Now we're talking about having some of this happen adjacent directly to a prime. We would want to have some feedback on that. So again, this is a proposed change. It's the only real large impact that we should be concerned with, but I will forward this out so folks can read it if they'd like to. It was emailed out by the New Hampshire ACC as well, so you may have already seen that in your inbox.
So does that require like a legislative approval? How do those changes get enacted?
Yes, so there's a period for written comment up until the 20th at 2. I'm sorry, written comments can be submitted up until 4 p.m. on the 29th. It'll then go to review, and then it would have to get voted in, and it would have to be approved. It wouldn't just...
At the legislator? At the
Yes.
legislature? So we could probably CC the Derry
Representative.
representatives. There's probably 10 or 11 of them.
Yep. We also have a couple of folks at DES that we can tag in, as well as an administrator up at the Wetlands Bureau. So we'll make sure our commentary is seen. Any other comments this evening? Going once, going twice.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Rick makes a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Grace Reisdorf seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
7:20, folks. Have a great evening. Be safe out there.